Look, London is a big place. Oxford Street's a big place. Why did you choose the home of free speech? Why? Why did you choose to come here?
We're born here.
Why, Speaker's Corner? We're talking about Speaker's Corner. Oh, you thought I was being anti-immigrant, did you? No. Britain is one of the most tolerant, friendly, welcoming countries on this planet. Survey after survey, international survey after international survey. I mean, just look around, you can see. The entire world wants to come here. And I'll tell you what, you're welcome if you respect our culture, our laws. But don't come here with your fists wanting to punch someone because they said something offensive about your prophet. You're not welcome. You're not welcome if that's what you're like. If you're violent little boys, violent little thugs who can't get a girlfriend. Look at their faces.
We're having some violence.
What do the police are here for? Why are we surrounded by police, idiots? Because of violent thugs. That's why. Who steal people's property, who punch people week after week. That's why the police are here. Don't you think the police will have proper jobs to do? Stop you getting violent. Ask the police. Ask the police. Ask the police. We have violence here most weeks because of little boys who can't get girlfriends. I mean, to be honest, I understand why the women don't want to spend time with you. I can understand that.
Mr. Speaker, what are you going on about?
What are you going on about? I want to make Speaker's Corner great again. Yeah! Do you know, only 20 years ago, you would have come here on a Sunday, and there would have been about 20 people on ladders like this, all with massive crowds listening to them. Look what we've got today. Little boys squabbling with each other. Little boys stabbing women, punching women. What has it come to? What has Speaker's Corner come to?
You don't even know the end of the
Oh, that's it. Preach to me about free speech, little boy. Educate me about free speech, little boy.
How has it come to this?
How's it come to this? Good question.
Thank you very much. I tried.
How has it come to this?
Yeah, how's it come to this?
Islam.
In a way, it's the broken window syndrome. You let a little bit, and the rest comes. Violence, thuggery, intolerance of free speech. One thing, because invariably they're youngsters, so one thing is the elders stepping in and saying, no, don't do that, be more respectful. I mean, the thought of me, 19 years old, going to another country, screaming and shouting, swearing at people of that country in public. What sort of people do that? I wouldn't go to, I don't know, a public square in Thailand and start screaming and shouting at the local people. I've never done that, ever.
You're not safe here.
Toilets are that way if you want the toilet.
Needs a month on toilet break. I think they're close, man.
Look, if you want to go to toilet, just go. You don't need to put your hand up. Okay, you've got it. Anyway, I was asked for solutions. I gave one solution, the elders to step forward and put the youngsters down. That is one. Second is proper policing that doesn't arrest the victim, like they arrested Hatun Tash, who was stabbed, knocked unconscious, spat on, sexually touched week after week, and the police arrested her. But they had to pay £10,000 compensation to that woman for wrongful arrest. Hatun Tash did, yes. And she gave every penny of that money to charity. So we have to have zero tolerance policing. And do you know what? The Royal Parks Police is being disbanded in November. The Royal Parks Police, who police this area, are going in November.
Because
Sadiq can't is disbanding them because he's cutting police numbers. Who here has the nerve to admit that they voted for Sadiq Khan? Anyone? Sadiq Khan is one of the biggest problems in London.
Why do you need a king? Why do you need a king?
All of them
Oh,
go.
what? Oh, well, we're really broadening the conversation now. I'm not talking about that, to be honest. We're talking about speaker. I'm on the ladder. I decide what questions I take. Well, but I'm talking about free speech. I'm talking about Speaker's Corner. That's what I'm talking about. Well, that's another subject. But obviously, here's the new Messiah.
Ignore this fool. Please continue.
He's the only hope this country's got.
What do you think of Nick Tanconi?
He's creating a sad little street protest movement that will never have any political influence whatsoever. So I don't know why they're bothering. UKIP get votes in like 2 figures when they stand for election. They're a waste of space.
Do you think Nigel Farage and Nick Tanconi should form a coalition?
Well, don't be ridiculous. Why would they? Why would Nigel Farage want to bother even talking to someone who's a tiny, tiny little party? No, they can't help them. We're not talking about God.
You see how they are?
Why can they not leave the house without talking about their stupid fairy tale make-believe space pixies? Am I the king? Not yet, not yet, not yet.
It's coming soon, yeah?
Sorry?
You just said freedom of speech, so surely it's their freedom of speech to sit here and talk about aliens.
Of course it is, but do it over there.
That's not the point.
This is a God-free zone.
So it's only free speech.
No, because I'm not saying the law.
The Muslims by being violent.
And I'm not punching them for doing it. I'm not being violent for doing that. I'm a peaceful man.
You say it's fairy tale.
You
Yeah?
look peaceful.
Thank you.
You look like you couldn't harm anyone.
You say Jesus is fairy tale. It's fairy tale. This Jesus is fairy tale.
Of course it is.
So why your king believe in Jesus?
Ask him.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
Because he getting power from this. He take
Well, ask
power.
him, not me.
Should England be
The reality is, the reality is, as much as I'm an atheist, I accept that much of this the cultural values of Britain emanate out of Christianity. I have to accept that because that's the reality. But it's not going to make me Christian. By the way, this man pesters me sexually every
The
week.
devil is over there. The devil is over there.
It will not make you Christian, but it will.
So I just accept the reality of the
Yeah, so
cultural.
it influences your whole system.
My culture, yes. Yeah.
So what?
So what?
So most powerful man.
I'm not
your-
stupid, so I wouldn't deny the reality, would I?
I'm saying most powerful men here in your country.
Not all of them are religious.
Not all of them, but they support occult things.
They support what?
Occult, yeah?
A cult.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. All religions are cults. And the fact that you've got a little bit of colour on your nose, I'm guessing you follow one too.
I'm saying your system.
You do follow a cult,
your
don't you?
system. And
What is the difference between a cult and a religion? It's numbers, isn't it? They all start small as cults, they get bigger, they're a religion. I mean, what's Scientology, for crying out loud?
and what
Apparently it's a religion
Be
now.
completely secular.
what I'm trying to say, your
I
figure-
prefer to live in that sort of world, yeah. I don't want any theology.
You don't want Sharia theology.
No, theologian. I don't want any theologian anywhere near my government, my democracy,
wanna keep
my
the
parliament.
Christian values.
Keep them out. The bishops should be chucked out of the Lords a long time ago.
about the Christian-
Keep your rosaries off my ovaries.
What about
Except for I
the
don't have
Christian culture?
ovaries.
Should we keep the Christian culture?
The what?
The Christian culture.
We should. All cultures evolve and change.
Should we keep the Christian culture?
Yes.
Do you think that we'll,
Now he's going to say, what about?
we'll keep the Christian culture if everyone becomes an atheist?
Yeah.
You think so? Delusional.
Much of it.
Absolutely
Not
delusional.
100%
You want
of it.
everyone to be an atheist, but keep Christian values. But we don't want.
Yes, I have Christian values, but I'm an atheist.
And you
So I'm kind of proving your point wrong.
And you think that we'll.
I'm an atheist, but my values
Yeah.
include
Yeah.
principles that have emanated out of Christianity.
Yeah. And you're
So
one
therefore,
man
I'm
standing on the ladder in
I'm
the
not,
park.
but I'm not the only one. And if we were all, why would it be different?
Well, you're
Keep religion
crying
out
about
of
the Muslims
politics.
coming in.
Keep religion out of real stuff.
You're crying about the Muslims.
What we don't want is Sharia law.
It's not my biggest. It's not my God Save the King. It's a song. When I bang a hammer on my thumb, I say Jesus Christ. Doesn't mean I believe in Jesus. Doesn't mean I believe in Jesus Christ. They're words.
It's just like.
And that's what my mother used to tell me. Yeah.
So delete this from your culture.
We do what?
It's in Latin. I don't speak Latin. Well, it's in Latin. That's
Yeah, the slogan on
in Latin.
Yeah, Latin. So why you?
Well, I'm not Roman.
Use English. This is British.
What's your point?
What's the point exactly?
What is your
My point,
point?
your full culture based on these Christian beliefs.
Largely, yes.
Yeah, and this statement.
And before Christianity was here, we were a pagan country for much longer.
Yeah, so I start.
And do you know so much? I'm losing my voice. Do you know so much of both British culture and Christian culture is from paganism?
Yes, there is-
Their dates, their symbols, their festivals, their foods.
There is meat.
So much about Christianity is pagan, and I celebrate that. I would rather worship that tree. That tree truly gives me life. It makes me oxygen. It produces me carbohydrates. I would not survive without this beautiful greenery.
Go hug it.
So let's,
Go hug it.
without the sun, without the moon. So if we want to, if you have a psychological need to worship anything, worship that tree.
Yeah, your king needs it.
I think you may agree with me on that.
Yeah, but
He talks to plants,
I'm saying
doesn't he?
your
Huh?
king needs
He talks
this.
to plants.
Your king needs this.
Charles, he talks to plants.
Exactly. So seriously, why would you worship a make-believe pixie that tells you to do X, Y, and Z, or you're going to burn forever, rather than pray to that thing that gives you life?
Yeah, coronation happens.
That even absorbs the pollution, for goodness sake. Greta never tells us about that, does she? London planes, specifically in London, to absorb the pollution. They cool the high temperature down. A street with trees is a cooler, cleaner place than a street with no trees. So stop worshipping your space pixies.
My power comes from God. If your king, yeah.
So what?
Yeah, it says my power.
I haven't actually even talked about being a monarchist. I am, but I haven't even mentioned it,
I am.
to be honest.
But I'm saying your monarchy
So
power
what?
depends on God's will.
Well, not really, obviously.
But why?
But it's not real, is
So
it?
erase it. Erase it.
It's not real.
Erase it. Erase it. Why not?
Yes!
Okay.
He's a Christian.
No,
He's,
that's
he's,
great. I like
he's,
that.
he's
I
a
like
theist.
that.
He's a theist like you. I do try to be consistent.
Erase it
I
from
do
your
try to be
hair.
consistent.
Erase it from your hair.
Christianity is ridiculous as Islam,
Sure.
as Judaism,
Yeah. Sure.
as Hinduism.
Erase it.
Why do you seriously question that it's problematical to be an atheist and a monarchist? Because our monarchy happens to be religious.
No, because you need this. You
Lots
need
of
this.
countries have monarchies. I'm not sure if they're all religious.
Because they all have a call. They all have call.
Doesn't have to be religious. Can anyone tell me a monarchy that is not religious? There must be an atheist
No.
king or queen somewhere. I don't know.
They have power from
Then
law.
let the deflectors
But
play.
that's not real, is it?
Yeah, it's real because they
No,
write
no,
it.
no, but it's not actually real.
Yes.
They don't actually have power from the space pixie on the clouds, do they?
No, but that's what they believe.
I'm not.
Yeah, but they don't actually have that, do they? King Charles has power because we give it to him, because the law gives it to him, not because a space pixie
Law
is
doesn't
giving him
give
power.
He gave.
In his head it does.
He gave power to
He
law.
even talks to the plants.
Oh my God, he gave power to law, not law gave power to him.
I used to be anti, and then I grew up, because they're a stabilising impact on this country.
How do they stabilize?
More so Elizabeth than Charles, I will say. Because when we're going, it is a figurehead, but it's a very powerful. Look at the trauma across this country when Elizabeth died. Did you not think that was powerful? Did you not see the power of the monarchy when Elizabeth died?
Personally, what I saw was people that from your generation, a bit older than you, who saw a woman who.
It wasn't just people older than me.
No,
It's all ages.
All ages, but
I lived near the A40 when they landed her body at Northolt and drove her body in the hearse along the A40. That A40 was full. The other lane was full of cars that had stopped. People were spread all along the entire length of the A40 from Northolt to central London. And that was not just old people. That showed you the power of the monarchy. Yeah.
She was on the throne for 60 odd years. That's what I'm saying. But predominantly the ones who held the most respect for her was the older generation. That's what I'm trying to say. Who held the most respect. younger people are Republican. The ones who held the most
There might be a slight age correlation, but young people are
Okay.
also
And what they
monarchists.
saw was a woman who, during World War II,
Who did a lot of good, yes. She walked the streets of London during the Blitz.
Like during COVID, she set an example when she stood alone in the funeral. So other people have respect for the way she carried herself.
Yeah.
Unlike her children, Charles.
Would you prefer a President Blair?
No, I'm not.
Well, what? But if you're saying, but if you're arguing against something, you'd have to replace it with something. Okay.
I'm asking you why you're a monarchist. I'm saying
Because I think it's the best opportunity. It's better than having a president.
But King Charles is just a figurehead. He's not going to change it.
Well, that's what a monarchist is. A monarch is. They are a figurehead. It is a figurehead. It's important to have a figurehead often. In business, in a country, so many scenarios it's useful. Not a real figurehead, not a make-believe one in the clouds.
It's the same ideology of
I see your point. There is a similarity to figureheads. The crucial difference being one is real and the other is not.
The one that you're looking to has no actual power. It's just a figurehead.
Well, they do legally.
Go ahead.
So you're either for that or you're against that.
Well, legally they do.
Are you for that or you're against that?
A new prime minister cannot be a new prime minister without seeking permission of the monarchist.
Ceremonial. You know it's ceremonial.
Much of it has become ceremonial, but the power is still there to theoretically be used if necessary.
Born for the right of
If
birth.
Starmer keeps going, we may need King Charles to step forward. We may need him. I mean, look how Starmer was fucked up in, 9 months?
We know he's a joke.
So what's he going to be like in 4 years' time? This country's going to be screwed. Well, let's hope. And let's hope Angela Rayner doesn't bloody step forward and... Oi! We're talking about real shit over here. Why don't you come and join us? Real shit over here. Real local shit for local people.
So Steve,
We'll have no trouble here.
how do we make sure
He's not elected the king, and it's just a right of birth. He's
Yeah.
the biggest dope on earth, but he just got birthed on the right bed at the right time, and he's now your figurehead. Surely, an atheist as yourself, who's meant to be pragmatic and logical, and dealing with science, you can see that doesn't make much
I
sense.
just think it is a better model than any of the alternatives.
It's a part of the
Maybe
culture.
I am a bit as well, yeah. Can an atheist be a traditionalist?
So how do we make sure this country doesn't go to shit in 4 years?
How?
Yes.
Well, if this government survives 4 years,
Yeah.
what we do is we put in place a better government.
So we wait.
Well, unless you believe in revolution, violent revolution, which I don't, we have to wait. We have to wait. We do all we can to hold that numpty to account, but we have to wait.
How do we hold him to account?
By scrutinising his lies, exposing his lies, exposing everything bad about the man, everything corrupt about the man.
Does the monarchy stand
I mean,
for
let's
that?
should we just pause for a moment? 3 Ukrainian male prostitutes firebombed Keir Starmer's property.
Okay.
What happened to that subject? What has happened to that subject?
No idea.
Well, there you go. 5 Ukrainian male prostitutes have firebombed Keir Starmer, Britain's Prime Minister's property and vehicle. And the media, the mainstream media, are not talking about it.
3 or 5?
Well, maybe it's 5 now. It was 3 last time I heard.
Well, facts don't matter. Anyway.
Facts don't matter.
Yeah, of course.
Always got to pay out front.
People that will tell you why do we need monarchy instead of making sure that the rules that we have in place are followed the way they should be followed.
Well, that would be a good start, wouldn't it? If we had laws that were followed.
Why do we then?
Because of weak politicians, a corrupt justice system, a 2-tier justice system, a 2-tier policing system. I mean, these things that are happening now, I mean, you couldn't have really accused this country 5 years ago of having a 2-tier policing system or a 2-tier justice system. Now you can.
So what changed?
One awful state of affairs.
So what changed?
Britain is in one hell of a bad state. One hell of a bad state. I mean, just look around here. Just look around here.
And what's the cause of the degradation?
Weak leadership, weak politicians.
The monarchy.
No, from the governments.
And who is
Does the monarchy protect the government?
If they don't have moral core,
I'll tell you why. Firstly, because our system of voting, our system of democracy is broken and it's unfair. First past the post system has helped create this bad state of affairs. So that's one big thing. That's one massive thing. The fact that other parties have the chances to break this two-horse uni-party system is incredibly difficult under our current system. That is one of the biggest reasons for it. And second is that we've allowed the civil service, we've allowed the police service to be politicised, to make decisions, to decide whether they're going to implement the government's decisions or not. The civil service is riddled with political view.
So should the monarch step in then?
We need a non-binary.
Why doesn't he?
We do need a non-binary political system, but not forgetting that sex will always be binary.
I have last question for you. I have last question.
Sex is binary. That was the latest intervention.
Non-binary is gender binary.
Power. We need a rainbow
Yes.
coalition. Power corrupts. Power corrupts. Maximum power, maximum corruption.
But you have checks and balances and systems that prevent that.
Let me finish. When it comes to the monarchy in this country, we know that Duke of Kent is the head of the Freemasonry.
So what? The Freemasons is a boys' club that go and do silly things, exposing their nipples, rolling their trousers.
He's the head of the Freemasonry. He's a monarchy.
Whether it had any power once, it doesn't have any power now. Don't worry about Freemasons.
What I'm saying is, he is the head of the
So what?
Freemasonry.
He might be the head of his golf club as well.
A member of the royal family.
So what?
So that seems okay to you.
Well, it's not to broadcast here, it's for Louis.
That seems okay to you. Then is it like
I don't lose sleep over Freemasonry. Do you know there's hardly any of them? Because they're all old and dying and they're not recruiting new
I'm
members.
not suggesting that. What I'm suggesting
Just like the Church of England.
Can I finish? I'm not suggesting that. What I'm saying to you is, does it seem okay to you that a member of the royal family is the head of the Freemasonry organization in this country?
And I've already answered your question, but you don't like my answer. I don't care. Katie Price could be the head of Freemasonry. I don't care. It's not meaningful for me. In fact, maybe we should make Katie Price the head of Freemasons. What do you think?
Vote for that.
You vote for that? No. What's her son's name?
Harvey.
Harvey. I vote for Harvey Price to be leader of Freemasons,
King of the universe.
but not monarch. The people like the man that's just gone off, they want a bogeyman. This is one reason why these stupid religions have existed. People are childlike. They want a bogeyman. They want a goodie that they can look up to.
Steve, you know what was going on? What was going on just
It
over
was
there?
Shia versus Sunni, wasn't it?
1400 years, they're still fucking at it.
I know. I mean, at least, largely, the Catholics have stopped fighting with the Protestants, haven't they? Largely. But these guys, no.
Still at it.
When are they gonna have the Good Friday agreement of the Muslim world? When are Shias and Sunnis going to kiss and make up and come together in their equal hate of the Jew? Why not? I mean, surely, if anything can bring them together, you'd think that would, wouldn't you?
They're common enemy.
Because, we all know Sunnis hate Shias, but we all know they both hate Jews, so
You would think
come together and hug
natural binding.
and get a hotel room.
What do you think of the Jews?
My favourite is orange.
Sorry?
My favourite is orange.
Favorite Jew is orange.
Orange Jews. No, I love. Very good. Jews seem very nice people, from what I can work out. And I've been on holiday in Israel, and it was one of the greatest holidays I've ever had. And it's certainly not an apartheid state. I mean, we can put that nonsense to bed. We know how words are twisted to mean something different. We all know what apartheid is and looks like. South Africa is a typical example. There ain't no apartheid in Israel. There are Jewish people, atheist people, Christian people, who have I not said? Muslim people, shopping in the same shopping malls, playing in the same parks. You know, you walk down the road and there's a synagogue, there's a mosque, there's a church. You don't get that in apartheid, do you? But it's in Israel. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I've also driven past the gates of Palestinian territories with massive professionally printed signs saying Jews keep out, Jews will be shot. I didn't see that at the gates of Tel Aviv when I entered Tel Aviv. But
Palestinians are allowed guns.
do you have a gun?
I'm not Palestinian.
Do you have a gun? I don't have a gun. I survive without a gun.
Well, yeah.
I'm not an American. I'm not really into gun culture. I think gun culture is banned. We should be discouraging it everywhere. So if that's your greatest evidence of apartheid for Muslim people in Israel, you're saying they can't have guns. But they can be in the parliament, can't they?
What do you think of the nuclear program?
I'm sure you're an intelligent man. I'm sure you've looked at a map of the world and seen. There's a very good map where all the Islamic world is green and all the Jewish world is red. You need to really, really hone in on that map to see the little red dot in the middle, covered by swathes of green country. So I can understand why that little red dot would want to arm itself as much as it possibly could when it's surrounded by swathes of countries that frankly wants to see its destruction. I can wholeheartedly understand why that country would do that.
I would agree, but...
And that's why I will support that country.
Why don't they allow foreign institutions to come look at the nuclear program to make sure they're not going too far?
Why would they? What would be too far?
Every single country.
What would too far be? But what would too far be?
Oh, well...
What would too far be?
Having too many of them, that makes sense.
And how many would too many be?
Well, certainly 400 is a bit ridiculous. Having
So 300 okay?
Well, they claim to have 400 and they don't let anyone know.
Would 200 be okay?
No, I don't think anyone needs 200 nukes.
So it's not the 400 that you have a problem with?
It is. I have a problem with them having 400 nukes.
Would you have a problem with them having 4?
I would say it's a lot more reasonable. It's about 1%. I think it's more of an issue that they don't let anyone in to see. That's a bit more of an issue.
And why? What concern does that cause you?
Well, if your neighbor was making nuclear bombs and he wasn't allowing anyone to come in.
But again, I come back to the map. A tiny little red pinprick surrounded by swathes of green that want to destroy that tiny red pinprick.
You're a huge mansion. It's not working out that way, opposing to a shed, a small shed, a big disparity. Well, they're making bombs in the shed. Aren't you a bit concerned that they may have to...
When the street is trying to bomb that shed, when the street is trying to destroy beyond existence that shed, I would absolutely understand why that shed was producing arms.
But why aren't they allowing anyone?
Why would you not? Why would you not? You know, put your Jew hate or whatever, your politics, your religion aside. Why would you be worried about a shed surrounded by a street who wanted to destroy that shed, arming and defending itself? Why?
That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the shed not letting anyone know what they're doing.
The shed's got a nuclear bomb in it.
And it's surrounded by people that want to destroy it.
And
can it defend itself? Can it? Why does any country have nuclear weapons?
To not get invaded.
Yes, it's proactive. It's deterrent, isn't it? It's deterrent, isn't it? It's a deterrent, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we know what deterrents are. They're to deter the enemy who wants to destroy you. And it's working so far, isn't it?
I agree.
Because Israel is never destroyed.
I agree.
And Israel will never. Israel never loses and will never lose.
Sure, man.
And I give my every iota of support to that.
See what they're doing.
It has to protect itself. That's irrelevant.
Exactly. I mean, it's such a detail to focus on. You're not interested in focusing on all the hate and the destruction. You want to focus on inspectors.
Because he has an agenda, that's why.
Well, obviously. Well, you've got it around your neck, to be fair, sir. You are cosplaying. You are cosplaying terrorism. Like middle-aged, middle-class white lefty numpties do on the streets of London every single week. White people culturally appropriating, cosplaying terrorists. You could not make it up. I was told only 5-10 years ago, cultural appropriation by white middle class people, ooh, bad, wrong. How dare that white person have braids in her hair? Yet now it's okay for white middle class numpties from Tunbridge Wells to walk round with bloody things tied around their faces, cosplaying Hamas terrorists. Suddenly, that cultural appropriation not only is acceptable, it's quite cool and trendy. You couldn't make this bullshit up.
You like facts.
Sorry?
So let me tell you a fact.
Well, maybe not for him, but it is for the white middle class numpties from Tunbridge Wells, isn't it? Come on, come on.
It doesn't symbolise
How do you define cultural appropriation?
I have this T-shirt, and it's from my culture.
All right, theoretically, yeah.
Yes.
How can you conflate that with terrorism?
You take this T-shirt, and then you go back to England or wherever you are,
I can
and
point at this.
you say this is from your culture, and act like it has to come from
You
mine.
say it, so a white woman with braids is saying it's from her culture. Well, that's a typical example that's used.
So that's a ridiculous
But
statement.
that's one of the main examples that's given by lefty
Hold
numpties.
on. White women in the Viking era had braids. True or false?
Well, tell the people that criticise white women for wearing braids.
We used to, before the
Isn't
internet,
that what
ignore
Israel's
people that
doing on the
said
ground in Gaza?
we just ignored them.
Very good point. Very good point. I'll just repeat that in case you didn't hear it. Before the internet, we used to ignore stupid people. What a firm, strong point.
We know what culture
Cultural
is,
appropriation.
I know what racism is. My grandma would have suffered it when she came here, right, as a nurse from Nigeria. So that's what
I bet you don't
That's
know.
what America's
Not really,
doing
I'm
in
not
Iraq.
racist.
I can tell. I can tell by your whole
the racism
demeanour.
that my grandmother felt, I haven't
thank you.
felt. No.
Thank you.
The racism that my grandmother
I'm happy to
felt,
accept a Muslim day.
no. Very much poisoned.
That's a bit.
Do you not see the inconsistency there?
So you never know.
What did you just say?
I said about the poisoned.
Yeah,
Oh, there.
That's a
I
bit
trust
interesting
him.
to
I
say.
trust
You don't
him.
know who he
I
is.
would trust him as well. I would trust a Christian or a Jew too.
Not an atheist, though.
Well, I would trust a Jewish date as well. If a Jew gave me a
Have
date.
you ever had a Jewish date? I don't mean a date. I mean a date with a lady.
No.
Oh no, no, no. No, I eat the dates, but no.
There's not many around.
Have you ever kissed a Jew?
Yes.
Well done. On the lips?
No.
How can I talk when I'm eating?
That's okay. I'll ask you a question while you're eating.
Oh.
Should any nuclear power be for the public to see? Or are we allowed to keep nuclear power secret?
No, because you and I wouldn't know what a nuclear bomb looks like.
Well, you should
So
let
therefore
people know how
it'd be-
many you have, right? And how many you're producing and at what
Well, again,
rate.
it's not just numbers, is it? You can have 10 tiny ones or one massive one. So again, numbers
But then
are
you should
meaningless
have-
in themselves.
You should know how many.
These things are. All I'm saying, these things are quite complicated. So really,
Too com-
a
complicated.
number is irrelevant. Because you can get big ones, you can get small ones, can't you?
So you should let know about the small ones and the big ones.
But not just simplistically add them up.
So you should have all characteristic details of the nuclear.
Why are you focusing on this subject, I
I
wonder?
just want you to be consistent.
Why are you focusing
Because I
on?
want you to be consistent.
But why are you focusing on the one subject of Israel's nuclear weapons?
Because you are showing inconsistency.
What other country that is surrounded by enemies that want to destroy it have I been inconsistent about?
You're inconsistent about countries with a nuclear program that deters invaders, showing their nuclear program for the public to see.
How have I been inconsistent about
Because
that?
you think Israel not doing it is fine. What do you think?
Have I said any other countries? What other countries have I even talked about?
So you think?
I haven't, have I?
You have.
You're pointing out an inconsistency when I've not even made comment about any other
What about
country.
Iran then?
But so far I'm right, aren't I?
So far,
I haven't commented about
You're right about,
inspecting.
nothing
So how can you be pointing out my inconsistency? There you go.
Let's your answer first.
But you're showing your bias, aren't you?
No,
You're showing your heavy bias.
Look what he's wearing.
I don't want Iran to. I don't want any. I don't want to have. What's the expression?
Look what you're wearing there.
No, this is actually from Iran, from my culture.
What was the description that was used? Axis of evil. I don't want any nation that is part of an axis of evil to have nuclear weapons. Full stop.
Okay, but if they
Whether
have
that's
them, they
North
should
Korea,
know, right?
whether that's Iran.
Okay.
I don't want axis of evil
Okay.
having nuclear.
about the
And I know
axis
that's a very subjective thing. I'll be honest,
Fine.
isn't it?
You
What's
can-
an
you're allowed
axis?
to be subjective.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Yeah, I'm not going to take that right away.
But you know, tyrant-led, theologically led,
Like Israel?
ideologically extreme-led nations.
Just say
They're the only democracy in the Middle East.
Oh,
There are Arabs in the parliament. There are Muslims in the parliament. There have been senior members of the parliament that are Arabs.
yeah. So then we should.
So they're not dictatorial, totalitarian tyrants, are they? You may disagree with them, but they are not totalitarian dictators.
Yeah, sure.
They have a system of democracy, significantly more democratic than any other nation in the geography. Do you agree?
No.
So tell me which other countries surrounding Israel have democracies that are more democratic on the spectrum of democracy than
I
Israel.
don't really care about democracy.
I want the answer.
So there are none. So you don't like this man doesn't even like democracy. So you like dictatorship.
No, I don't like dictatorship.
So what do you like?
I like the monarchy.
Really?
Yeah, I think the monarchy.
A theocratic monarch, though, I suppose. Like Britain, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what you say.
I quite like the political structure of England.
Say again.
Would you say democracy is your religion?
No, any more than eating kebabs is my religion.
So then why is it that people from the West always say Israel is...
Well, let's not generalise, shall we?
Generally people from the West will say Israel's the only democracy as though that is the...
In the region.
Well, I think you enjoy it, don't you? You enjoy it, don't you?
It's a bit weird. If we call out Israel's bad doing,
democracy is the measure of goodness. Israel is...
Well, I mean, for starters, I would say democracy is not a black and white thing. I don't mean that racially. I mean, it's not an absolute thing. There's a spectrum. There are different forms of democracy. You know, you have proportional representation. You have first past the post. Britain's form of your humming is very condescending. Do you know that? Maybe you don't mean it. Oh, you do? Oh, that's good, is it? Well, now I know. That's good then. Okay. So, do you see how he gives the compliment and then gives a backhand insult? So our current British system of democracy is far from the best system of democracy. It could be improved hugely. There is a lot to criticise about our current system. Yet I would still prefer our system than a theocratic, authoritarian...
What makes it better? What actually makes democracy better than a dictatorship?
Well, because the decision about who the dictator is isn't in the people's hands, and decision making should be in the people's hands. You see. Let me know. Let me say one more thing. I was saying about you only need a majority of one in democracy. And if there's a bipolar. Well, I'm not going to get into an argument about whether Brexit's good or bad, but it was a referendum, and the decision was to leave. Yes, and actually there is an argument, and I think it's an argument that I sign up to, that we should have more referendums, that we should have more direct democracy. There are nations, for example Switzerland, that are entirely based on direct democracy. Everything is decided on a vote across the people. So are you commenting on what I said about direct democracy? Are you just going off on your tangent that you want to rant about? No, we're talking about direct democracy and system of democracy. You're not going to drag me off down Brexit. You're not going to drag me off of the best Prime Minister. I've just said if you listen for 1 minute, I just said the British current form of democracy is far from perfect, and it could be a lot better. So you then ranting off about who was the best Prime Minister, it's kind of supporting my argument, but I know that's not what you want to do.
Oh, we're voting for a leader democratically,
Do you have a problem with democracy?
I didn't say
I'm asking you though. No, I'm asking you a question. Can you answer it? No, you don't answer questions.
You made the claim.
No, you answer a question. I'm not playing your game. You asked a question, so answer.
I didn't make the claim.
You asked a question, so now I'm asking you.
I didn't make the claim about
Do you like democracy? Do you personally like democracy? Do you personally? Well, why are you being so obstreperous? Why are you being obstreperous? You're not. We're talking about democracy. So I'm asking, do you support democracy yourself? And you seem to be flailing, refusing to answer it. I think we'll move on. To be honest, I think. Well, no, there's no point because you've got an agenda. You've got an agenda. I've stood up on this ladder, and what we've been talking about has been meandering through all sorts of subjects. I'm flexible. You're not flexible. You're coming here with an agenda. You're coming here with an agenda?
All right, what's the claim you made?
Do you like democracy?
No, that's the question, no claim.
We're not. I'm not playing that sort of game. It is. Well, you're applying some rules to this discussion, aren't you?
It's how a debate goes. It's a back and
In your but it's not rules.
I'll step back.
I think you probably should. It's very difficult to have civil discourse with someone like this.
As a doctor, what do you mean accept democracy?
He wants to diss democracy. Yeah, he couldn't even open his ears for 1 second when I said British democracy isn't perfect.
How do we improve on British democracy?
First past the post getting rid of first past the post. At the very least, reforming the House of Lords, if not completely getting rid of the House of Lords. They would be two measures. I think more direct democracy. I'm not convinced we should have direct democracy for everything like Switzerland does, but I think more use of direct democracy at a local issue, at a local level as well as a national issue. I think that is a sensible direction to go. So all those things that I've just described would have a huge impact on how we run Britain.
He wasn't there on Wednesday.
Were you going to say something? Okay.